Hello everyone, and this is BioPhoenix here, and today we're going to be taking a look at a PS1 game, but this PS1 game is unlike any other that I've ever played. And that happens to be King of Crusher, or the full title being Hakaioh, King of Crusher. So it was developed and published by Fab Communications, and it was released in 1998 and only in Japan, which is no surprise because I don't think this game would fly in any other country. Well, the game just wouldn't fly in general because games don't have wings, but you get the point. So let's get right to it and talk about the game's story, and oh man, this game's story is just so incredible it'll make you drop any visual novel you'll ever play. So you play as a Japanese businessman. I have no idea what his name is because, who the fuck names names anyway? So after waking up one morning and having some breakfast, he ends up getting bitten by an evil insect. And this insect seems to talk to him a bunch of times, but I don't know what it's saying, but I can just imagine that it just pisses him off to the point where he turns purple. And that is where the game begins, and then on you just gotta destroy everything in sight. And it gets so bad to the point where he actually transforms into a werewolf, and then after that he transforms into like a giant kaiju. You see? I told you that the story in this game was amazing. So let's get talking about the gameplay. So it literally is what I explained about the story. It's an action game, but you just destroy everything in sight, literally. Yeah, so when you first start out, you just play as the average Joe guy, and you destroy everything in your house, like all the furniture and everything. And then after that, your guy ends up going to work. Yeah, I guess after everything going on, he still happens to go to work, and then you just destroy everything in the office. And then he transforms into the wolf monster, and then he ends up like terrorizing the town, and then it just keeps getting bigger and bigger for out there. So the main objective is that you gotta fill up your red meter, and it fills up by every time you destroy some objects, and then as soon as it fills up all the way to the top, you gotta get to the end point of the screen, and there you go. You just progress in the next area. And you do that throughout the entire game. You just gotta crush everything. Hence why this game is called King of Crusher. But there are going to be some police and even the military that will try to stop you, and of course, whenever you destroy like some of the helicopters, the tanks, or even some buildings, then you actually do regain back a little bit of health. And you gotta rinse and repeat all of this throughout the entire game. So, with that said, now let's start talking about the game's controls. And the controls in this one are mind-crushingly awful. So you only get to move around with the D-pad, and then you have square is to jump, X is to kick, circle is to punch, and then triangle is to headbutt. And then L1 kind of gives you a better view around things. Honestly, I usually like using this because it is easier to see right in front of you. So yeah, that may sound all well and good, but yeah, the walking in this game is quite possibly one of the most fuckular things I've ever seen. You know how a lot of adventure or survival horror games have tank controls? Well, this game kinda has that, but I'd say it's more like clown car controls. Because turning around in this game is like a joke. It almost feels like you're always fighting with the D-pad and trying to go diagonal because he just keeps on like going around a circle. It's like, what the fuck, man? Also, the hit detection on certain things can be very inconsistent. And one thing that annoys me in some of the early stages when you're a werewolf is that you have a lot of these cops that are shooting at you, and yet you can't even fucking kill them. I've tried so many times to try to attack them, and it just goes right through them. I wasn't sure if I was doing anything wrong, or maybe you just can't, but either way though, it's fucking dumb. So unfortunately, the controls in this one are just really bad. So now, let's get moving on to the other things, like the graphics. And the graphics for the time when this game came out are also not that great. I mean, for one, there's nothing really much in this game that really looks recognizable. Like, yeah, even the monsters in this game are not that great looking. Like, when you have, like, the full dinosaur part, look at how he jumps with his mouth. Like, he looks so derpy-derp. Even the werewolf has, like, this really weird, like, sphinx-looking face on it. I don't even know. And the cutscene graphics are exactly what you might expect, and of course they are very weird and very bizarre. So at least they are entertaining in that regards, but yeah, visually this game, even for 1998, it just doesn't really look very good. It's very dull looking and nothing just really stands out to me, other than the whole concept of this game. So as for the game's music, the music in this is very strange. I don't even know how to fucking describe it though, but if there's one thing I can say is that it really doesn't fit a game like this. Now, I couldn't find the music anywhere at all, so the music that I'll be demonstrating right here will be from the actual gameplay if you can hear it, so I do apologize for that. I mean, to be honest, the music is actually pretty funny, and I do kinda like it for that. But for a game where a guy ends up developing male PMS and then turns into like a giant monster and like takes revenge on the world for no reason whatsoever, I would kind of expect something to be, you know, heavier, something deep, not something that's very upbeat sounding. So yeah, the music doesn't really fit this game at all, but it's also not really bad, but not really good either. It's a little forgettable, but it is at least kind of amusing for what it is. So if you wanted to go out and buy this game, well, good fucking luck, because I couldn't even find anything online. Hell, even finding a ROM for the game was difficult enough as it was, like holy crap. So you know, if you have a game where finding a ROM of it is really hard, then I can only imagine how hard it would be to find a legit copy of it. Well, either way, this game I would imagine would probably be very expensive. So that's my overall thoughts on King of Crusher, is that this is quite possibly the worst game I've ever played in my life. And yeah, you didn't mishear me there, I actually did say the worst game. Because this game is just downright terrible for the fact that it has very bad controls, the game's graphics are very dull, and also the game just gets really repetitive very quickly. But with that said, this game's concept is just so fucking awesome. Like, this is totally something I would have made. Although if I made this game, I probably would have made it even more over the top than this. Like, for an example, I would have thrown in some like ninja robots in there. And then have like this one like Arnold Schwarzenegger guy like throwing out like a bunch of random one-liners in Japanese. And just to top it all off, just to have a vampire riding a motorcycle. But with my imagination aside, this game's concept is still pretty fucking awesome for how like weird and like bizarre it is, and it kind of makes you like want to play the game a lot more to see what the shit else would happen in this game. I know some might say that's a pretty cheap way to get you to play a shitty game. Kind of like the whole thing with Menace Beach, where it's a really obviously shitty game that just happens to have like a girl taking her clothes off in the game as you progress farther. But for someone like myself who really does like a lot of kaiju stuff and also just likes a lot of weird ass bizarre shit, I do feel that this game is at least worth playing a little bit just to experience, because, you know, when the hell else would you ever hear about a game like this? So I do feel the game is at least worth emulating, but I can't really recommend paying for it though, because like I said, if you do happen to see a copy of it, I would imagine that this game is probably a very expensive one. Because as much as I do love the concept of this game, I don't think it's worth going broke for. So yeah, this is probably the best worst game that I ever played on the PS1. Or, you know, the worst game ever. And it's another reason why I love taking a look at PS1 games, because there's just so much weird shit on there that sometimes it can be a very good surprise. And this one, well, it was, well, I wouldn't say it was a good or bad, but I would say it was definitely a surprise. So with that being said, King of Crusher is one of the most oddball games I ever played on the PS1, right up there with LSD Dream Emulator and Cho and Nikki. And that'll be it, so thanks for watching and commenting, and have yourselves a great day.
Oh my god.